All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll just keep an eye on the chat as we're moving here. So we're just going to hop right into it. So I kind of wanted to start out our webinar today by giving you um, just a little view of Reviewr, what we kind of do here, and why we're hosting this webinar. So Reviewr is an applicant management platform. So essentially, if you're intaking any sort of application, we can run it. So we run things like scholarships, grant programs, award programs, different contests, things like that. And we are hosting this webinar just through our years. We have been running scholarship programs. We've ran thousands of different programs through reviewers. So we've seen a lot of the best practices. And we've been doing a lot of research looking into 2026 at what's going to kind of come next. So with that being said, today's scholarship topic is the 6 scholarship trends that will define 2026. So, my name is Callie. I do all of our marketing here at Reviewr. And my role in this webinar is just kind of from market research, things that I've found and seen happening in the scholarship space. And then I have Hallie here from my team, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Hallie. I am a member of the customer success team here at Reviewr. So I work one-on-one with clients from the time they are onboarded into Reviewr. I help them get their submission form built, start accepting applications, help them through that evaluation process, and then I help them get ready for next year. So I see what our admin are coming from, what different tools they've used in past, issues they have, struggles they have, and then kind of what they're looking for. And so I'm actually able to see kind of the gaps that we fill here at Reviewr and just kind of understand the difference between other platforms and ours.
Awesome. Before we jump in here, I just want to note that the chat is open. So if you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to drop them. And then at the end, we'll open it up for a full Q&A. So let's hop right in. So first, kind of what we're going to go over today. We have 6 different trends. I'll just run through them really quickly, and then we'll kind of move more in depth with them. So our first trend is smart eligibility and matching. Our second trend is the end of the reference letter chaos and just everything to do with reference letters. The third one is a fair, balanced reviewer assignments. The fourth is modern review workflows. The fifth is impact reporting. So that's everything to do with different reportings. And then lastly, we are going to end with AI's roles in programs. All right. So our first trend is smarter eligibility and matching. So what we've seen in the past and seen some scholarship programs have issues with is students are coming in and they're applying for scholarships. They're getting everything turned in and submitted. And then once they've already gone through all of that work, we then see you guys receiving these submissions and noticing they may not even be eligible for this scholarship. They may have spent all that time applying for a scholarship they can't even get. So it wastes a lot of your time, judges' time, and their time. So moving forward, this is kind of a thing that we've been implementing with Reviewr. We see a lot of programs starting to move towards in the future is just like eligibility matching tool. So essentially before they would actually be able to start filling out your entire application, they would just answer a couple quick questions that will then show them if they're eligible or not. And then if you are running multiple scholarship programs, it'll show them all that they are eligible for.
Yeah. So the second trend that we're kind of going to cover is the reference side of things. So many of you guys who are running your scholarship programs have that letter of reference option. And so I know that a lot of people set it up to where the applicant themselves are going to just upload that letter of reference all on their own, which is fine, but that kind of leaves a little bit of gray area for you all as admin because no one really knows if that really was written by the letter of reference, or if that was something that AI wrote, or something that they pulled from a different letter. So there's that kind of uncertainty. And then the other thing with references that are currently being ran right now that Callie kind of touched on is just kind of the disconnect. And so when you are having forms filled out and you have to have the reference directly email you as an admin with that form, or if you are having the applicant fill out their application, but they don't have that reference yet, so then they send it in sooner. So just kind of that messiness of not having everything in one place is going to be really difficult for you as an admin. And so having all that be in one place where we can actually invite that reference into our form and kind of give them that opportunity to submit on their own. And then they're aware of those deadlines. So it's not solely on the applicant and checking in and making sure on that reference because they're going to be kept in the loop by that. And then another thing with the deadlines to just kind of keep in mind is that when the admins or the recommenders, excuse me, are aware of the deadline from the get-go, have access to when that is due, understand that, that's going to give them a lot more time to prepare and write out a more thought out, thoughtful, the best letter recommendation as possible. And so making sure we are giving that applicant their best chance, because we all know that a lot of times people are going to be filling these out on the last day. And so giving that recommender an opportunity to kind of have a little bit more time, a little bit more of a heads up is really important. And then the last thing, just to kind of tie everything together, is that before this option of inviting the recommender into Reviewr to kind of upload on their own, a lot of things are going to get lost. It's going to be almost impossible to keep track of every single email you're getting throughout your application process, whether that be from your applicants, your recommenders, your guidance counselors with transcripts, whatever that might be. It's going to be really hard to keep track of that. And so a few things that we do at Reviewr to kind of combat those issues or an automated invitation. And so your applicant is going to insert that recommender information as soon as they click submit, as soon as a form posts, however you want to configure that, that invite email is going to be sent out to the recommender. Simple portal with guided prompts. The recommenders, and I'd say 90% of our events that we run are going to be sent a link. They're going to click into it, upload their form, fill out a number version of their form, and they're going to be done. They don't really have to do a lot with it. It's going to be super simple and easy. Next thing, smart reminders. Their recommenders can receive those and complete submission reminder emails. The students actually now have the ability to send that reminder email to the recommenders. So they're going to get that kind of automation and they're going to get those nudges through the system. And the last thing is just higher quality letters with the guided prompts. They're going to give us some more meaningful insights instead of just generic praise. And so just to kind of show you guys what that looks like, I'm going to take you through that kind of process. So this first slide is going to be as if I already created my account. I'm the applicant right now. And this is going to be that eligibility page. And so if I do not answer yes and no to these two questions, and if I'm not in the certain date range, I am not going to be able to move on through the page. But because I did select the right options, I am eligible and I get to move on. And so this is just kind of a generic applicant experience. They're going to fill out their personal information. They're going to fill out the more event specific information. And then you kind of just have a lot of freedom within that to kind of customize how you want that all to look. Secure files, everything kind of along those lines are super important. And then also long form questions for those more in-depth questions that you might want to ask. And so now to the part I kind of wanted to cover was the letter recommendation. So this is what the invite component is going to look like for those applicants. They are going to insert their first name, last name, email, first name, last name, email, and then as soon as they click submit, that invite email is going to be sent out. And so this is an example of one of those invite emails. It's going to be a little bit of a description. It's going to tell them what event it's for, the person who is requesting that letter recommendation, and then provide them with a link to go into their reference portal. This is a really great example of something we kind of try to encourage at Reviewr is instead of solely doing that reference upload where they write a letter, also doing more of a numerical based recommendation system. And so this just kind of gives all applicants a little bit more of a fair opportunity for those who request letters from someone who's not as strong of a writer. Something kind of along those lines, just so that we have that opportunity to get kind of a numerical rating on that applicant too on the important topics. Yeah, and so once that is submitted, they will be good to go, but that's kind of what that reference section looks like. Next slide, we are going to talk about our trend number 3, which is a fair and balanced reviewer assignments. And so a few of the problems that we're seeing here with our reviewer assignments is first application bias. So those first 3 applications that you are evaluating that you're scoring, they're going to get higher ratings than the later ones. Fatigue effect, quality drops as those reviewers go through large batches of submissions. So my quality of evaluations are going to be really good for the first 10, but for the last 30, they're going to go downhill because I just kind of want to be done with it. Unequal workload. So I am going to be upset and I'm not going to give as great of evaluations, as great of scores if I'm only given or if I'm given 50 applications and Callie were to get 20. So those 30 that are kind of, or the 20 that are kind of in that separation area are going to get a not as fair of a score because I'm going to be having that burden of all the extra applications to review. And then last thing is order matters. So application number 3 is 100% going to be scored differently than your 43rd application that you are scoring. And so kind of having that randomization, giving every application the random opportunity to appear in a random order, which is super important. And so how we can kind of set up these smart assignments is we can do automatic randomization. So we can make the system shuffle the applications before the assignment. So none of your reviewers are going to see the same order, and then you're going to have a different order every time you open into that evaluation portal. Workload balancing. So this is where we can set a minimum and maximum number of submissions to review. And then it's going to randomly assign those to all your reviewers. And so that kind of takes away the manual workload of you having to kind of math it out and match out which assignments, who is going to review what, kind of go about that. And then you're going to know it's going to be even. Third thing, conflict of interest management. So we can flag, prevent, and prevent reviewers from seeing the applications with disclosed relationships. So if you know that Sally's aunt is going to be on your review team, you can kind of flag that down and make sure that that matchup doesn't happen. And then dynamic listing. So each reviewer's list displays in a unique random order form, which I kind of mentioned in the workload balancing. And so again, every single application has that opportunity to be at the top of the list. It's not going to be alphabetical. Anything kind of along those lines. So I'm going to quickly just kind of take you guys through that workflow experience. And so what we kind of call groups, buckets, however you want to call it, in your event, we call them groups and divisions. And so a lot of people like you all are going to be running scholarship programs where we run multiple scholarships within one event. And so we want to be organized when we're getting those submissions. And so we're going to drop them into different groups depending on which scholarship they're applying for. And so that's what this page shows here. And then you can also see the reviewers that you have assigned to this group. So we're going to click into manage assignments. And then this is where that automatic review kind of comes in. I'll show you quickly. This is how you can auto assign your reviewers. So you're going to set the maximum and minimum number of reviewers each submission should have, auto assigned, and every reviewer is going to be auto assigned based on your minimum and maximum number. So this is going to take away a lot of the manual work for you of kind of matching those assignments and then just making sure that everything is random. If you don't want to do auto assign, you can manually assign. You can assign all to where all reviewers are assigned to all submissions. A bunch of different ways that you can kind of go about that. And then here's another great view where if you are having some, if there's a conflict of interest, however, you can kind of deselect, make sure that does not affect your review process.
Awesome. All right. Now we are going to move into our fourth trend, which has to do with your judging slash your evaluation, whatever you call it within your program, but just the people that are evaluating these applications that come in. So some of the old processes that we've seen in the past are a lot of PDFs or things being emailed to your judges slash reviewers. We're also seeing a lot of score sheets that are in spreadsheets. So just lots of manual work either on your part, moving them all together, or your judges also putting those in spreadsheets, trying to send them back to you, things like that. We're not seeing a lot of collaboration between judges, admin, and applicants. We're seeing some inconsistent rubrics, and then just um just overall kind of messy manual judging processes. So what we are starting to see moving into 2026, what we're seeing lots of programs move towards, is just one standard online portal. So instead of having a bunch of different spreadsheets or PDFs or emailing things back and forth, everything is always done within one central portal. We're also seeing a lot of like built-in scoring tools. Here in Reviewr, we have a built-in scoring tool where they can side by side view the application and the scorecard, and score down like that. Real-time collaboration, being able to leave notes for other judges, notes for applicants, notes for admin, stuff like that. Very structured rubrics, which Hallie can show you that in a second. And then instant results on dashboards. So you guys being able to immediately see how many judges have finished, where they're at, how many submissions you have, just things like that. All right. And then, sorry, was glitching out there. Our fifth trend is Yes, is impact reporting. So this is when your program is all said and done. We just want to be able to track the impact these scholarship programs are actually having on the applicants, and the people who are receiving them. So in the past, we've seen a lot of lack of tracking, or being able to, or having to track those things manually, which we see you kind of slowing you down on the admin side. So we're seeing a lot of people move towards a lot of automation. For example, in Reviewr, we have all of our different reporting tools. So when your program is all said and done, you can just go in, pull your reports. You can see how many submissions you've had year to year, things like that. You can have your winners actually come back into Reviewr, submit things for you, so then you can pull some reports for the impact it's had on them, and things like that. All right. So, lastly, we are going to touch on AI. So, just really quickly before we kind of into AI, if you guys want to drop in the chat, if any of you for your scholarship programs are currently using any AI, what you're using, maybe what you're using it for. We have seen a lot of programs starting to move towards different things, just for some assistance in some of the manual processes. So if you guys want to drop that in the chat. And as you're doing that, I'll start to go over kind of what we have been seeing a lot of programs doing, and what we think they're going to be moving towards. So the first one being we're seeing a lot of ChatGPT or OpenAI. We're seeing a lot of admins use that for some of the manual aspects, to help them kind of pull together spreadsheets, things like that really quickly, pull out applicants, duplicates, things like that. It can do it pretty quick. And some of the issues we're seeing with that, is just opening up your applicant's data to a huge company. That's not a secure platform with that data, so you're not necessarily sure where that's going or what they're doing with that. So what we're seeing a lot of our current clients asking for, are some of these things that we are going to be implementing in Reviewr within the next following months. So looking into 2026, we are looking for some updates, and the first one being applicant summaries. So this is actually AI will take all of your all of your submission form, and it'll pop it into a short little summary for you. These can be used by judges or in discussion, things like that, instead of going back and trying to view an applicant's full application where they might have submitted 4 or 5 different things. It'll give you a little summary, help you remember which one's which, things like that. Then we also have the big one, which is AI detection scoring. So this is actually able to go in to things that your applicants are submitting and being able to tell you what percentage of that of what is written was written by AI. As we know, students are kind of starting to use things like ChatGPT to say write essays, things like that for them, and we're starting to see a lot of scholarship programs trying to get away from that, being able to see if students are submitting um, things that are, say, 90% written by AI. We're actually seeing a lot of scholarship programs wanting to kind of count them out versus students who are not using any. So being able to have that AI detection is something we're really looking forward to in the coming years, and then automated content redaction. So, like we said earlier, right now we can blind data from your judges really quickly in Reviewr. So, say that can be personal information, social security numbers, whatever that may be, or if you don't want your judges knowing who they're scoring. But in things like PDFs or paragraphs they write, say in their intro paragraph, they may write their name and what school they go to, being able to use AI to automatically go in and just redact that data, covering it from your judges. So even reading reading those different submissions, they still won't know who it is, regardless of what the student actually submits. And then our last one is document validation. So essentially, say your student puts in your application form that they have a 3.5 GPA. Um, we are launching a feature that essentially is using AI to go into their application, see what they put, and then also go into their transcript they uploaded, and being able to match that those are the same thing. So you can use that document validation for lots of different things, but being able to automatically just check that what they are putting in on their submission form is the same as the documents that they are uploading. All right, so kind of bringing it all together, we went over the smart matching, better references, fair assignments, and all that goes into that, modern reviews, impact, and then our new AI features.